What's going on, everybody? This is my performance test video for my first professionally built PC. Going to test 4 different games, but first I'm going to show, this is a test that people don't really do a lot, don't really show a lot, but when you download games onto your computer, downloading at 100 gigabytes of data, it's kind of system resource intensive. So I kind of wanted to show that. As you can see, we have we're receiving at about half a gigabit per second. And it's using about a third of the CPU, half the RAM, use a graphics card a little bit. So, yeah, even downloading is something to consider. On your really old PCs, this thing wouldn't be able to keep up. It would crash your computer. Anyway, let's get into the 4 games we're going to test. So this is Fortnite right here. I'm going to show the settings that I used on Fortnite. So you can see I got it in 4K there. And frame rate, unlimited. Everything's pretty much on high with the resolution set at 4K. And of course I have dual layer super sampling on, DLSS, for basically runs it in 1080 and then upscales it to 4K. Which is pretty cool. And everything's pretty much on high there. Alright, and then I'm going to show the actual gameplay here. And as you can see, I'm getting about a solid 60 frames per second on the bus. Only utilizing 12 gigabytes of RAM. And if you see like 2 mouse cursors on here, it's because I recorded this earlier and my microphone got disconnected somehow. So I have to re-record over my old recording because my microphone got unplugged. Now, if FPS did jump on the way down a little bit, that's not typical. Usually it stays closer to 60 frames per second. It doesn't dip down to like 30 when I'm falling out of the sky. And the quality looks way better in real life than on here. I recorded it on the same computer, so I couldn't really turn up the settings to make it record really good. The good thing about that is whatever you're seeing on here, it's actually going to run slightly better if anybody else gets it, because they're more than likely not going to be running OBS in the background to record the gameplay footage. I have to, I'm actively encoding this 4K video into 720p while I'm playing the game at the same time. It's going to use a little bit of some system resources. As you can see, we're getting a solid, well, it's hard to see, but getting a solid 60 frames per second. And the temperatures are staying around 60 Celsius on both the CPU and graphics card. So that's another good thing. We're getting good temperatures on this thing too. It's doing really good for only fan cooled. Of course, it's only a 65 watt CPU. If I was going to go with a full 120 watt CPU, I would have done things differently. As you can see, during this firefight, I'm maintaining 50 frames per second pretty consistently. And then next I'm going to go with testing GTA 5. I'll show the settings I used for that real quick. Got it in 4K. 60 hertz refresh rate. Everything turned up on high or very high. Distance all the way out and all that. This game's it's over 10 years old, so yeah, it doesn't really need much. As you can see, I'm running 4K, getting 40 at the low end. It's doing pretty good. And then the next game I'm going to show here is Cities Skylines 2. Cities is a bit of system resource intensive game. As you can see, I'm only getting about 20 frames per second, and the simulation speed is horrible on this city. This city's got 172,000 population, and 1 million people. 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 my characters are just, the simulation's freezing because the CPU is just at full throttle here to keep up with the simulation. Well, both the CPU and the graphics card are. And yeah, I got the simulation on full speed here, and they're just crawling at a snail's pace. It's like it's going at normal speed, even despite the fact I got it turned up to fastest speed, because the CPU just can't keep up on this game. And this is probably, that 170,000 population is probably the max you could go on this computer. Because as you can see with this city right here, I'm getting a consistent 60 frames per second, 70 frames per second on a brand new city with like no population. So it's like the higher your population gets in this game, the more system resource intensive it gets. I even like built a bunch of stuff and hit the simulation all at once to see if I can make it slow down. And I kind of do. I got it dipped down to 30, as you can see a little bit ago on there. But yeah, on this city, I'm going to start building up a little bit. Of course, I'm hoping they'll come out with future patches to this game that'll help with the performance. It's something a lot of people have complained about with this particular game. And of course, I saved the most system intensive for last, Star Citizen. Anybody's familiar with this game, the system requirements for this game are beyond like a PlayStation 5. I mean, like a PS5 only has 16 gigs of RAM in it like this computer does. But, well, this computer also has 8 gigs of graphics RAM. Really, ideally, you want 32 gigs for this game. There's my graphics settings for it. Kind of went through it a little too fast there. But here I go again. Got it at 1080p. Should have changed the upscaling technique. I don't know why I got it set to TSR for. I probably would have got better results if I would have set that to DLSS. Did I set it to DLSS? I don't think I turned DLSS on. Oh, there I go. Yeah, I did turn DLSS on. Alright. Yeah, because that would help a lot. Yeah, anytime you have upscaling options, use the one that goes with your video card. I know AMD has their own upscaling technology for their cards. But for Nvidia cards, it's dual layer super sampling, or DLSS. And as you can see here on my capital ship here in the middle of deep space, I'm getting about 60 frames per second there. And that's how it is with this game. If you're on your ship by yourself, away from everybody, isolated out in the middle of nowhere, you're going to get a good frame rate. So if you're going to like a moon to do a bunker mission on here, you're probably going to get a good frame rate. Probably should have showed that on here to demonstrate it. But kind of what I did here was I showed how good that frame rate is, and then show how good it's doing in quantum travel. And then show how bad it's going to get when I get to Hurston. See, it's already slowing down coming to this. Hurston's one of the 4 main planets in the game. So a lot of players here. A lot of resources the computer has to load. And this is the capital city of Hurston. A lot of activity going on here. And as you can see, that frame rate has dropped down to like 10. And in fact, the frame rate's so slow, I'm not even gonna, I could land here. But I'm not going to try to land here, especially with such a massive capital ship and such a small frame rate. Like if I was playing this game on a computer with these specs, I would probably keep myself away from the major cities and just stay in the smaller zones, places that are less populated where I get better frame rates. So you see, at one point it just froze right there. And now I'm pulling up to fly away from it. Like as soon as I turn away from looking at Lorville, my frame rate doubles. And of course it'll increase as right now I'm trying to warp away from here. There, I get Crew L1 locked in there. There you go. As soon as I warp away, look at that frame rate jump. Now I'm at 40, 50. And and yeah, that pretty much demonstrates everything on this. yeah. I just want to make this video to show what this computer's performance is capable of. So anybody who wants to buy this computer gets a good idea of what they're paying for. And I humbly appreciate viewers for taking the time to look at this, and y'all have a good day.